you so much for being here, having the time to answer a few of our questions. Let's begin with an introduction of yourself and a little about Yukon.
Sure, great. I am Nicole Hoeller, and I am one of the managing partners of the Yukon Mining Alliance, or Invest Yukon, as some people know it. It's a very unique model. The territory of Yukon is prolific for mineral discoveries, and they see those discoveries and the extraction of those minerals as a really good way to add to their GDP. So what they've done is put their money where their mouth is, and they supply a good amount of funding for us each year so that we and our member companies, we have 14 member companies to date, can go and promote mining in the Yukon globally. And so we promote the Yukon and we promote our individual companies.
Wonderful. How will the record gold prices and renewed government First Nations support affect near-term project advancement, funding access, and also the potential for M&A appetite within the Yukon region?
Well, you know, the financing window certainly is open with gold at record highs of $3,800 US. Certainly, we're seeing increased appetite for risk, and we're seeing availability of capital there for our companies. So, for example, in 2025 alone, our 14 member companies have raised over 100 or $250 million Canadian to advance their projects. So very strong, combined with the political tailwinds for critical minerals and the policies that federal and territorial governments or governments all over the world have for critical minerals. We really see that as a positive. Excuse me. And then certainly on the First Nations side, the territory of Yukon is working very hard to formulate those processes and working on a collaboration approach. And we're seeing that definitely many of the First Nations groups in the Yukon are seeing mining also as an opportunity for sustainability for their communities.
Sure, absolutely. How robust are local community relationships and ESG initiatives among the Alliance members? And how might they mitigate permitting and operational risks given recent industry incidents?
Well, you know, certainly there was some fallout from the Eagle Mine incident, but after a long and thorough review, at the end of the day, what it determined was that there was not a fatal flaw in the heap leaching process in the Yukon. And I think that gave a lot of comfort to investors, certainly, but more importantly to some of the First Nations groups. I think that certainly our membership companies have their own legacies of initiatives that they've put in place. They've always been very proactive and collaborative in terms of the local communities and the Indigenous population. For example, Banyan Gold, one of our companies, was a key founder to a charity called Every Student, Every Day, which is focused on providing opportunities for schooling and education to the youth for the future. And they've given away $3 million in 176 community-oriented initiatives. So certainly there's always room to grow. The Yukon government is absolutely committed to formalizing those processes. And certainly they're currently under a territorial election right now. So they'll have a mandate to make sure that they finalize those initiatives.
Absolutely. What exploration strategies or the data-driven approaches could accelerate resource growth and regional portfolio optimization to create the value for shareholders in a globally competitive context?
That's a long question. Well, certainly in terms of technically, I think, you know, we've had some success in raising money now. And so going in big at the beginning and having the availability to do that, like Snowline Gold has been able to have multiple rigs doing big, huge campaigns, that kind of gets you to the resource calculation quicker. So the resource calc, the economic studies, and then the permitting process, and that de-risks your projects and provides more access to capital. The other thing that all of the success that our companies are having, and even other companies, the other companies that have been in the Yukon for a long time, is that they are attracting interest from the majors. You know, the major producers have spent the last decade using 90% of their cash flow to buy back shares or pay dividends. They haven't used much of it to put into the ground. So in essence, it's companies like our alliance members that are the R&D for the majors. They see that Yukon territory is prolific for mineral deposits and discoveries. And it's really, even though it's been around a long time, it's barely just scratching the surface, and it's a new frontier. And those majors coming in, that's what's going to provide the access for the infrastructure and the power and all of those things that create a bona fide mining belt, because they've got the deep pockets and they could do it. And then finally, I think that you're not going to get any awareness if nobody knows you. And so that's why the YMA is in fact around. That's what our mandate is. One of the things that we do to increase awareness about our companies and about our alliance is we have an annual property tour visit site. And that is gathering bona fide investors from all over the world, taking them to Dawson City, right in the heart of the Klondike, and doing a 4-day property tour where they could go and they could visit all of these properties, have their boots on the ground, talk to the management, talk to the government, talk to First Nations people, and really get a feel for, first of all, what these companies have to offer, and second of all, just how prolific the territory is. And so if anybody is interested in doing that, then they should reach out to info@investyukon.ca, and we'd be happy to hook them up.
So in your interactions with the largely Nordic investor base here, especially at the conference, what is one key takeaway they should have out of Yukon?
Well, I think I'm going to answer that in more than one key takeaway.
Sure.
But I mean, Canada, it's a great jurisdiction. As I've mentioned many times before, Yukon they've got minerals from A to Z, Gold is prolific there. Obviously, you've got that historic Klondike mining district. You've got people that are taking it seriously. They're in there. They know what they're doing. They want to form relationships with their First Nations partners, and we're in a heck of a market. And the window is open there that these projects can be funded. Critical minerals and gold alike. It's a changing world, and everything that we have comes out of the ground, and this is a new frontier.
Absolutely. We appreciate you taking the time to answer a few of our questions today, and the best of luck at the remainder of the conference.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.